Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's the Wnr552. It's the WWE Elimination Chamber. I'm not alone. Of a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show. It's the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
Hello. It's going well. Quite excited to discuss all things Elimination Chamber today. How are you?
I'm all good. I'm surprised how quickly the year seems to be going. It only seems like yesterday we were
Yeah,
talking about the kind of thoughts towards the Rumble, and now we're straight on to WrestleMania at the moment.
it feels like it's been so quick to like lead up to this moment for sure. It doesn't feel like we've got just over a month, I want to say, until WrestleMania. So I think these next few weeks are going to go by real quick.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, it's good to have you aboard. And up next, our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod, it is Monty. How's it going, man?
Doing great, doing great. Last time we were talking about NXT. We were talking about how horrible this build up to WrestleMania has been. I mean, it hasn't been horrible, but it's been kind of tame. So, Elimination Chamber had a lot to prove. So we'll see. I can't wait to talk about did they actually ramp up anticipation. But you guys are 100% on the money about how fast it feels like we are approaching WrestleMania. Everything just seemed to be pushing on through. And I don't know if I don't dislike it, but I don't know if I like that either. So it's kind of weird. But I'm excited to talk about it. So let's do it.
And last but by no means least, and Gina, we have a very special guest to sing Gina in. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe I'm saying this. It is James Blunt, everybody. Did I disappoint you or let you down? Should I be feeling guilty or let the judges frown? You touched my heart, you touched my soul, you changed my life and all my goals. And love is blind, and that I knew. My heart was blinded by you. Goodbye, my lover. Goodbye, my friend. You have been the one. You have been the one for me. I kissed your lips and held your head, shared your dreams and shared your bed. I know you well, I know your smell. I've been addicted to you. Goodbye, my lover. Goodbye, my friend. You have been the one. You have been the one for me. Oh, well done. Thank you very much, James Blunt. Thank you. Oh, what a performance. Gina, can you believe that? Oh, wow.
Yeah, how I feel really special. I don't really know who James Blunt is, but I feel really special. So thank you, Mr. Blunt.
How says that was James? That was a perfect rendition. You sounded exactly like James Bond.
Hey,
I have no
I
idea
wait
who
well
James
my
Blunt is.
time. I can't believe that, no, James, but I
I-
wasted.
I-
Jaxie, that was for you, Jackson.
I couldn't stop
Well,
laughing. That was hilarious.
Oh, I'm sorry, James. Don't be upset. No. He's leaving. He's leaving.
Don't be upset, Mr.
Oh.
Blunt. I'm sorry I haven't heard of you, but thank you very much.
Well, that's okay. Bye bye, mummy. Bye bye, daddy. Okay, James, that's enough. Move on now. But Gina, you're on board here, and like we said, we're on a road to WrestleMania.
We are, and it feels like a very quick shortcut road. Like you said in the beginning of this chat, it feels like we've just started with Royal Rumble, and now it just feels like WrestleMania is like around the corner. So it feels like a very short road, for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. And the whole team is here. Like I said, we're on this road. Plus, it helps the Chamber was a history-changing event. But speaking of history, February was Black History Month. I don't know if anybody noticed watching television or anything like this. And Monty, this is something that we kind of touched on in NXT, and I think it become apparent this month. And again, it's interesting because I think a lot of people might get like offended by this, and I don't understand why. And again, it just seems that's the era of WWE at the moment where they're going. I mean, I think that would be fair to say, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm just gonna be. I don't know. At this point, it's the people who may be offended by it are not even the people who probably should even be concerned with it.
Yeah, no.
Which is the funniest part. And the thing is about being black and being a wrestling fan, especially especially if you're on the internet. But even if not on the internet, just in general, we've always kind of been a fan of wrestling. But especially growing up where I grew up, especially in the Southern America, it's not. We always loved wrestling, but we've always also looked at wrestling as not necessarily being something that celebrates us or about us. It's always been more of a white person's, especially particularly a white man's sport. Especially when you think about the history of world champions and just depictions of black people haven't always been the best. So the funniest thing is that especially in America, I can speak from an American black perspective. We don't necessarily ask to be reminded to do. We don't ask for them to cater to us. It's just when you do it, actually do it and mean it. So what I'm trying to say is like every year for I don't know how many years I know the video package or the commercials or the time they would have black talent do interviews or do many little promotionals about Black History Month. Like we know at this point WWE and other corporations also, because it's not just WWE who decides to kind of maybe mention it or not mention it as much as they were used to. And it's no surprise to me that it's a correlation to who is currently in our White House and a lot of the stuff that's been going on around politics in regards to that. And it's a whole mess of just we're trying to change this and that. We don't want you to acknowledge people's identity. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. And it's hard to not look at WWE, who all of a sudden after all of these, and that's why I'm interested to see like when it's International Women's stuff like International Women's Day and Indigenous People Months and all that. Are we gonna do like we just did? Because I remember just last year them bringing up and acknowledging all of the many different races or many different stuff in their particular months and their particular days. They done it. They did it. But this year we're just gonna not do that because you definitely, like you said, you saw no trace of it. We all know Triple H's favorite comments. I already told you guys about how problematic it is to walk around talking about how you don't see color and all that type of stuff. That it is what it is. But apparently it's hard to not look at it from a critical eye and just be like, oh, okay, so we're just not even gonna talk about Black History Month this year after years and years of basically doing at least the bare minimum of highlighting the few civil rights activists, or just highlight your own history of black talent, stuff like that. You don't even have to do this. But on Martin Luther King Day, literally earlier this year, they showed a video package for that. So it's just weird to me how we picking and choosing, and like I said, it's hard to not look at that and see a correlation with the type of people who are running this country right now, especially when you have people like Lyndon McMahon a part of that cabinet. But that's me. I'm getting off my soapbox about it. I know you guys don't want to hear me complain about that because, like me and Jay talk about off this, we can complain about politics on a whole other show. We literally can make a brand new podcast complaining about politics, but that's a different show. But yes,
but
a lot of that stuff plays a factor. Go ahead.
and the thing, this was the thing that I noticed as well is I noticed it because usually on WWE Network and stuff like that, it's all over the place. So it was, like I said, last year and the year before as well, and it just found it interesting, especially if it's going on. And Jaxie, I think it's important to say as well and again, if people looking at this and thinking, well, what's the issue, what's the problem? But again, I think it was something that you and Gina were saying as well to me. I think about like watching even Sasha Banks and it kind of actually having someone you could grasp onto. It's all well and good. The people listening here, think of like a white male, whatever it is back in the day. There were hundreds of them. You know what I mean? And again, the people breaking barriers now deserve to be kind of looked upon.
Exactly. I think we were all having this discussion actually on our Twitter group, probably earlier this month actually, where we were saying, what sort of black representation right now in the WWE is like sort of in the main event picture, and we don't really have that much representation. Actually, I think I remember Monty making a joke, we've only got Jay at the moment. So really hoping that he comes out as a winner on top in WrestleMania right now because there's not much representation. And I know that they've actually done that in the past where they've focused that energy on showcasing, just not even just sort of black persons, but any sort of persons of color, really. I don't know. I find like this month has definitely felt very lackluster, and it's just fallen a little bit tone deaf, I think, in terms of the message that I felt like WWE were trying to bring since the era of Vince had ended. So yeah, things are still questionable, I think, in the way that things are led. Creative is definitely being quite questioned at the moment. I'm not sure if they need to change up in creative or what, but it feels to me like creative are being very ignorant towards just sort of like their overall audience at the moment. So something definitely needs to change. In my opinion, creative needs to change.
But also as well, it's like the Super Bowl with the end racism kind of sign being taken away. The only people getting upset by saying seeing end racism are racist. Yeah. Again,
right.
And that's me saying.
I mean, if that's truly making you, if doing all of that is truly making you uncomfortable, ask yourself why.
Yeah.
Because if you are not comfortable with admitting like the sins of like others past and acknowledging what has taken place in the past, then how are you supposed to move on? And then you're going to sit there and complain about this, that, or the other. Well, you're just pointing out all of the reasons why this still needs to be pushed into the sort of like public eye. Why this continuously needs to be like reminded of you guys when you stay ignorant. So.
Well, this is the thing, and Gina, and I think again we're going to move on in a second, but I think the important thing, and everybody listens to this as well, we're going, well, it doesn't affect my demographic. Well, it will do, because as Monty said, this is Black history, and then without the LGBTQ community, everything else like this, and then until the only kind of people we can latch onto again is like white American. I don't really understand, but it's important to fight for every issue to make it important.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I hate it when people also turn around when someone's, trying to make an argument for themselves like we are today in terms of saying that there's not much black representation up there in the main title scene. And they'll sit there and say, well, that could be said for this race or that race. And it's very true, it's all equality. But the thing is how others receive the words that they're hearing. It's all selective. People will hear some words and they will hear it in their own way. They may not take it the same way that it's coming out from the person, but at the end of the day, they make their own thoughts on what is being said and what is being pushed here. And when people are complaining about there not being enough representation, that's not necessarily us saying the people who are currently up top are shit. We're not trying to say that. We're just saying it would still be nice to have that representation there, seeing as you push about equality all the time and diversity on your rosters, but it doesn't feel that way creatively, story-wise, or up there in the main title picture. So, yeah, again, it's just how people receive things too.
Yeah, perfect. So we get on to wrestling. And luckily for me, I'm the opposite of a racist, like Jose Mourinho, whatever that is. I'm not sure what it is, but, I'm definitely that. Raw and Smackdown notes then. The fallout of the Rumble was interesting because last time we had left it, we had the Rumble wins. And, of course, Jaxie, I know you loved Charlotte's win. And, of course, we got Jey Uso. And we had all this negative talk about his win. And then he was showered with a 10-minute ovation. Jaxie, sometimes the internet are just fucking idiots.
Yeah, I mean, that is the best sort of statement to make, really. It will go one way virtually, but then when you actually see it live and you actually see the appreciation there, you just realize the internet is full of idiots. I don't know how anyone could be angry at this win. This is a feel-good win. This is most loved wrestling character who has earned this respect from the WWE audience. And to be honest, I'm really glad that this was the outcome for Jey. There's nothing worse than when you see sort of like the biggest of baby faces that are the most popular with the audience that don't actually get this opportunity, that fail like before like anything can kick off. And for once, WWE are doing something right and actually hitting go at the right time with Jay. So why not let this happen? See how things play out. Because right now he is at his most popular. You know, you don't know when that will dip, but this is the best opportunity and the best time for him. So I really, if I was in that crowd, I would have been stood up for 10 minutes during that, doing the ovation with him. So, you know, giving him the ovation. I liked this. So this was a happy moment for me.
No doubt. Charlotte wasn't met in the same way. I mean, Monty, can I get an unbiased opinion, please? Because I know which way it's going to go elsewhere. And the crowd didn't like what they saw. But, I mean, she did all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think she saved it by immediately realizing that it didn't go. I mean, I understand the sentiment of trying to go because, again, I think people forget the content. People just look at it and they see it's Charlotte. So of course the people don't want you to be up here because you've been handed or you have won. You win all the time. This is nothing, and it's not really about that. They tried to go to babyface promo because she shattered her knee. It's like she was hoping that somebody would at least had some type of sympathy, or not. If it wasn't just sympathy for her injury, at least saying that we do miss your presence. And you can make the case. There might be plenty of people out there who, because she has been on top for so long, who may not have missed her or even look at it that way. But most of the time, when you do something like that and you shatter your knee, you do come out there, you do try to give a more, not even playing a character, you just try to give a realistic type of speech. I'm pretty sure she did miss the people and all that. But the thing is, I do like how once she realized, okay, they don't really care or they're not buying it at all. They're not happy that I'm here. She immediately, you almost can see it in the middle of the promo, how she flipped the switch and immediately turned into like the egomaniac Charlotte that we all know. So, you know, I thought she covered it well, but it was definitely, I know some people were definitely getting a kick out of it. And like you said, I mean, you mentioned getting my opinion, but it's the reason why you can't get a Jaxie or some of their opinions. They have a thought process about Charlotte, and there's a lot of people who feel that way. I'm not saying it's wrong or not. I get it, but my point is that when you won that many titles and all of that, sometimes it's hard to come off as the person that's supposed to be garnering sympathy. But like I said, I understood why. I just don't know if you go that route. I think honestly, you probably just go out there and let her bask in her win.
Here she comes.
You know what I mean? I shouldn't have said it, right?
No, the only thing I was going to say was I actually agree with what Monty is saying in the sense of I saw that professionalism in Charlotte where she saw that this wasn't working and the professionalism to change it up and go, do you know what? We're just going to go with it. I have to respect her for that. You know? Like there's so many wrestlers out there that don't actually handle this sort of thing well. Yeah. Ronda Rousey being like the main one. So right. I again, like when we're talking from a storyline point of view, yeah, me and Charlotte, we don't get on, yeah. But I have to respect Charlotte as a wrestler. You know, she knows what to do. She knows what she's doing to rile the crowd up. But she also knows when she needs to switch things up. You know, pull her own audible. Oh, you know what I mean. Yeah. Anyway. I'm just saying, in that moment, I had respect for the fact that she changed it up the way she did, and I kind of saw it happen, and I love to hate her. So, yeah.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes you gotta understand that you might be like your dad. I'm agreeing with you. Right, she might be like her dad. Her dad was mostly a heel.
Yeah, you gotta remember that. So let me hate on him, okay?
Can I just say as well, for WrestleMania, we are going to have probably the biggest mass debate in history between the two of you. So just get ready for what you've got.
No, because of like every time it does it, because you always do this. You put me and Monty against each other, and it's always about Charlotte Flair, and then it gets real heated, and then me and Monty aren't friends for like 2 days.
Hey, I didn't know you took it that personally.
Yeah, wow.
That was news to me.
Well, we'll see how this. Maybe I can, learn some humility this year around, and who knows, I could win. I could win this time. I'm going to prepare now that I know.
Right. Anyway, so we had the Chamber qualifier. Liv beat EO by DQ. Seth cosplayed as Undertaker. He said Roman is out, like him or not. He tried to give Sammy a pep talk, which didn't work. Punk beat Zayn in the first time ever match to qualify for the Chamber. Owens attacked Sammy afterwards and hit a package pile driver. And Owens did explain his actions well on SmackDown. He said Zayn just stood and watched as Owens was nearly killed at the Royal Rumble. Gina, talk about Kevin Owens' actions. But again, isn't it good to get a first time ever match? And Sami Zayn and CM Punk really mesh well together as well.
Yeah, they do. They, for some reason, they have like this chemistry, and it's like we don't know where that's come from because again, they've not really had a matchup. So they have this natural chemistry, and maybe it's that natural chemistry of, you know, knowing that you haven't gone against this person before, so you're about to, you know, create something new with them, experience something new with them. Maybe it was that kind of, you know, experience and energy that they were feeling, but it definitely worked, and I was very intrigued. I was happy, like, regardless of the outcome, because I figured this might not be the last time we get to see them as well, which is good. So yeah, I wasn't mad at it.
Yeah, exactly. And then Owens attacking as well, but having a reason kind of makes sense because Sammy really didn't help.
Yeah, I mean, again, it is standard Owens at this point with the way that he is being written and the way that his character is going. But I think it was Monty who sent a video on our Twitter group the other day, and it really reminded me of all the shit Kevin went through, and it did kind of showcase some of the times that Sammy wasn't actually there for Kevin. So, like, don't get me wrong, I am not condoning this behavior at all. But part of me was like, well, shit. No wonder Kevin's, like, so mad and got a chip on his shoulder, you know?
Yeah, exactly. On to SmackDown. Chamber qualifiers. Belair beat Niven. Alexa Bliss beat Candice LeRae. Pretty Deadly. Yes, boy. Beat DIY. Yes, boy. After all the rumours and apparent heat between them, Drew McIntyre beat Jimmy and LA Knight to qualify for the Chamber. But did they really get into it, Jaxie? Did you see a little clip of them and Drew absolute destroying Knight if it was really a shoot?
Yeah, I mean, like, it just, things felt very personal in that moment, right? Like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, is there more to this that we're not seeing? Maybe we don't know about. So who knows? Maybe they're going to be building a personal feud there, off of the back of this. I don't know. We'll soon see.
Well, the main event was Fatu and Tama versus Cody and Jay. Solo returned and not many people cared. Raw, Jey Uso picked Gunther after the world champion stopped him from yeeting. Monty, the segment was much better than I've just explained.
I don't even know what segment we talking about. You said, I heard the Jey Uso part. Say that again.
It's a bit where he kept yeeting and Gunther beat him down. And then Jey Uso dived over the top, started beating Gunther, and then after accepting the challenge.
Yeah. No. That was pretty great. For a squash match, if I remember it right, it was actually really entertaining to the point to where it woke up a lot of people to how good Tozawa can be. But also, like you said, you broke it down so fast that it made me summarize it in my head quicker. But yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry, my bad.
But yeah, no, it was a much better segment than I think either one of us is making it to be right now. So, but yeah, no, Gunther getting his bully on, doing what he does best, and Jey Uso coming out to try to stand up for other baby faces. I get that idea, but I was thinking, and I'm still not so much now, but you know what? I was wondering this for a while because Jey kind of, he we kind of knew he was going after Gunther for a while. It's just like, what are we gonna do to make this more interesting over the next 40 or so days was my thought process. Even though I think they're doing okay, I'm just like, I don't know. And then as we talk about, as things heat up on other storylines, it's like, I hope Jay and Gunther don't get like lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, and also I found interesting that Pat and Gunther wear the same outfit, which again, I guess I hear black is quite fitting. So whatever. Liv got busted up in defeat when Io and Kai beat her and Gonzalez. AJ Styles return promo was interrupted by Dom and Carlito. War Raiders retained versus the Creeds by DQ. And in Chamber qualifying, Bayley beat Lyra. Logan Paul beat Rey Mysterio. And New Day attacked Rey afterwards. And Gina, again, it's weird because we talked about how hot the angle was for the New Day. And it seems like not a lot has happened. And we're heading to WrestleMania now. And again, it's just like, what happened to the New Day? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't get me wrong, when the actual heel change happened, I was just as shocked as every other fan, and I was heartbroken, but I was excited by this new concept of heel New Day and where they're going to go with the story. I wasn't even mad that they were kind of starting them off against, Rey Mysterio, because in a way, if you want to piss off the fans and make yourselves a heel, you should always know, hurt Rey Mysterio. Look at Dominic. He is still booed so bad to date that he cannot speak on the mic because of what he did to his dad. So I thought it was a clever move, maybe putting him at New Day against Rey Mysterio, because that's going to generate more heat for them. It's somehow kind of fallen on deaf ears, I feel. Not that it's not making its point. New Day are being booed at the stadium, but the story kind of seems a bit stagnant, if that makes sense. I don't know. There's just something not working about it. Have they dwelled too long on this feud with the LWO and Ray? Should they be moving on to someone else, or is it just not working, the chemistry between Ray, LWO, and New Day? I don't know. I can't necessarily say it's one or the other that's not making it work, but something about it's not working.
And you hate to say, like, you take Rey Mysterio out of LWO and no one cares about the LWO. So again, with New Day, whether it be the War Raiders, whether it is, hopefully they're something down the line. But again, it might be 6 months,
Definitely. But like you said, it's just that case where if you remove Ray from the LWO, does anyone truly actually care? Do they? Because
I think the issue is that the LWO don't really do much when it comes to their own promo work, because of Ray is doing a lot of the talking. So I still feel like they're like background characters, background wrestlers. Like they're there as like the backup. And something needs to switch up. Like leadership needs to come in, sort of like overtaking Ray a little bit. Like, have someone else leading the LWO at the moment, because right now, with Ray being like the main leader of it, it puts everyone else in the background so much that you kind of forget about their presence. So that's how I look at it anyway.
Yeah, without doubt. Be interesting
it'd be
to see
nice
what
if
happens
they trusted Dragon Lee on the mic. Because, like, if you can trust Dragon Lee on the mic, you can have him step in. You remember this, like, with Farouk and The Rock. Not that he has to be a heel, but you can have him kind of you can have him step in and you can tell, oh, Ray is just priming this spot for Dragon Lee. But it don't even feel like they're doing that well enough. So
exactly. Yeah.
We'll move on to SmackDown, and Vic Joseph stood in for Joe. That was Teacher Corey. Cody talked a little bit. Wnr552 joined. Solo showed up on screen. Jacob wasn't happy. LA Knight defeated Miz and then squared off with Nakamura. Stratton versus Jax ended in DQ. Jax didn't seem upset. She continued to attack the champion until Trish got involved to make the save. Jax able to take out both women for officials made her leave. Then Charlotte Flair came out while Tiffy was still recovering and declared she would face Stratton at WrestleMania. And again, Jaxie, I mean, a lot of things about Nia Jax have been said, but not being too safe. And again, I think when she went to take out Trish and Tiff, maybe she erred on the side of caution. But old Stratton's coming out of retirement as well. Was this worthwhile?
I mean, I didn't think that she was like she had some very devastating moves during that moment, but I don't think like she was like neglectful of them, like, or sloppy. I think Nia has had a very good year when it comes to the caliber of matches she's had. I think that ever since she's returned, her in work ring has been a lot more careful. I don't hear that she's been weekly injuring some of the wrestlers as I have in the past. And she's actually just produced some really good work. So I like what she's done this year so far, and I've just enjoyed Nia on the roster at the moment.
Yeah, without doubt. And then Chamber qualifier, Naomi beat Chelsea Green, and Priest beat Braun and Fatu. On Raw, Zayn and Owens will fight in the Chamber in an unsanctioned match. Yay! The company doesn't get in trouble. Monty, what is their fucking problem? Why do they think we care so much about WWE getting in trouble with all these unsanctioned matches?
It's brainwashing. Brainwashing. They want you to be like some of these fools who think when they make money, they made money. Or these people who on the internet saying, bragging about ratings that do not affect them at all. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. I don't know why they think we care. Or why do they think it's a good thing for them to be like, hey, whatever happened to you on you. We using you for your entertainment. We're gonna record it and put it on Peacock. But if you get injured, you're gonna have to pay that hospital bill. Like, no, like that's not honorable, WWE. What the hell are you talking about?
Come on, independent contractors, step up. Anyway, it's interesting though, Gina, because the history between Owens and Zayn is WrestleMania worthy, but in Canada it will be special, and obviously we kind of know who's to return as well, which kind of, I don't think ruins it, but it still should be special.
Yeah, regardless, it's going to feel special, especially for those who are physically in attendance. But I think a lot of people who are just invested in both Sammy and Kevin individually will still be invested in this highly because of how much of a past these two have together. So I definitely think it's a WrestleMania worthy match, and they've built up the storyline well enough. I don't really know where it's going to go still at this point, so I'm still kind of oohing and ahhing on what side it will go with, but I think it's still generating enough interest with people.
Yeah, without doubt. Styles beat Dom in his first singles match back. Braun went to spear Styles but hit Dom. Kai beat Ivy Nile to become number 10 for Lyra. Pat and Gunther had matching outfits again. Chamber qualifying, Rox beat Raquel. Rollins beat Balor. But we did have, Jaxie, that's what I want to ask you quickly, because me and Monty have spoken a lot about Roxanne Perez. What are your thoughts on Roxanne? She beat Raquel, and then we had developments as well in the Cargill case, and also we had Blair and Naomi as cheerleaders. So quite a lot going on that time.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying seeing a lot more of Raquel on main roster TV. She's like a little rebel, and I think that she's got the personality to be able to like hold her own against a lot of women on the main roster. So I was really impressed with her picking up the win here. And I was also excited. I'm pretty sure she is actually the first NXT person to actually be featured in a main roster elimination chamber. I could be wrong there. But from the women's division, at least, I think she's like the first. So I was really impressed with her picking up the win here, and was really excited to see that she was going to be part of Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, and then finally, like I said, some developments on the Cargill case. And again, it went slow, picked up. Again, as we get to Chamber, we at least...
It certainly was building up a lot more of the, bringing up the case of who did it with to Jade. So you had to imagine that, something was going to happen at either Chamber, or the road to WrestleMania. There was going to be some sort of fallout from this, and we were going to start getting answers. I feel like at this moment that this was the start of that, starting to get answers.
Yeah, without doubt. On to SmackDown, Drew lost to Jimmy, but beat him up afterwards, so that makes it all right. Mello Don't Miz might have legs. You heard it here first. Trish tried to help Tiff, but Jax beat him down and sat them again softly. Liv and Raquel attacked Belair and Naomi. And then we had The Rock show up for his promo, and he wants Cody's soul. Monty, what are your thoughts on this? Because we heard The Rock was going to show up, and in the end, he wanted Cody's soul.
Yeah, I actually liked it because I remember watching the Netflix show, and he kind of even mentioned it himself. how they were having drinks and how they had seemed to become good friends off screen, and just what they've done to just kind of bring that back up is very, very interesting because I remember at the time a lot of people, not only other things that we can talk about later, but I remember at the time with Netflix, I probably said it myself. Well, it seems like we can kiss The Rock wrestling and doing all that goodbye. His involvement with this WrestleMania probably going to be minimal because he came out, he didn't turn on Roman like people were thinking, and he gave Cody a shout out on the Netflix show. So when he came out here and he did this, I really was just kind of like everybody else, thinking he was going to do a WrestleMania New Orleans thing, which he did. And then he immediately flipped back into the final boss. And it was so interesting how fast he switched characters like that. And then it was like, all right, so where do we go? Because, like, you're not wrestling. I still don't think you're going to wrestle. Where are we heading with this? And then when he asked him for his soul and he did it like that, I said, oh, this is very interesting. I was not expecting that type of conundrum. Now, immediately, me knowing Cody as well as I know Cody, I immediately was like, okay, well, I don't know what the hell it's going to take to convince him. But it was still interesting enough to me that I even entertained it, even as, pristine as we look at Cody. So it was really cool. They actually did a good job of making this very compelling. And then I finally felt like, okay, now we're heading to WrestleMania.
Well, we're going to talk about the final boss a lot, so we'll just continue with the notes quickly. Profits beat up the tag division. Owens watching Zayn's family was really fucking freaky. Solo lost Fatu, but I don't think the feeling is mutual. And then the Raw Go Home show, Punk interrupted Logan. One thing I hope is that there's a better Mania match for him. I mean, Gina, do you think they could go Logan Punk? Because they have teased it, but hopefully the Chamber killed things. Spoiler alert.
I mean, I will admit that I would like to see CM Punk wipe the floor with Logan Paul. I think that would be very entertaining. And I don't like Logan Paul necessarily, so I would very much like to see it. Do I think it's a Mania-worthy match? For Logan, in his eyes, yes. In CM Punk's eyes, no. No, I don't think it is.
We see Ludwig beat Dunn and Penta. Cesaro and Gunther had a really fun match. There's actually comparisons, and I know I'm old, to Triple H versus Taka Michinoku back in the day. Jay made the save afterwards. Ivy now laid out Lyra and Kai. Seth told Cody not to hate him. And in the main event, we got new tag team champions, Liv Raquel beat Naomi and Belair. Jaxie, this match, as well as the near falls, were excellent.
Sorry, which match?
The women's tag team titles match with Liv.
With Liv and Raquel, yeah. No, this actually, I'm glad that this was given a decent amount of time because there were so many near falls. Like, I think all four women looked so impressive in this match. Like, it was a very much a main worthy to be the main event,
Yeah, really, really good stuff. And then on to Chamber kickoff. It was only half hour. I'm joking, of course. Cole hosting, not big enough for Pat, I suppose, getting there. Rox, then Bailey, Liv. Only gets to Blair and Naomi. Trish was up next. She mentioned Mania 18. Candice and Nia interrupted. McIntyre's out next. He won the Chamber last year. He gives Cole some chapstick, and CM Punk last. Monty, this was shorter than normal. I thought it was a normal kickoff. It wasn't. They've changed the kickoff to countdown now, but it's just because I'm old. Not many shots of the crowd, which made me think there wasn't a lot of people there.
Yeah, it wasn't. The scale was different. I think they, for the WrestleMania, they did. Cause like they call countdowns or kickoffs, but they just when I went to school, we used to call stuff like that a pep rally. That's what it was. It's just a big old pep rally for the show to hype up the show in the city that they're gonna hype up that coming SmackDown and the actual PLE coming. So that's what they've been doing. But you're right, it definitely wasn't. The scale was way toned down, and It was weird. It was kind of weird. It was still, I guess, quality, but you're starting to see, as if you compare it to like the one that announced Cody was going to actually challenge Roman instead of giving his shot to The Rock last year. If you compare it to like the initial ones we started to see in this new era, it's definitely not like that. The effort is gone down. It's starting to feel like just another. It's like a kickoff show before we get to the Saturday kickoff show. You know what I mean? That's what they're starting to feel like. Now, even though I do think some of the promos and of course the work the talent is doing makes it worthwhile over a kickoff show, over a PLE kickoff show, but yeah. So the scale is definitely going down. We'll see. I'm sure the one going into Mania though is probably going to be huge again, like last year.
Yeah, and again, as I said, the difference is they're doing these at the big four events, or you're doing it in France or Glasgow, somewhere that doesn't get a lot of PLEs. Then of course you're going to get a lot of people there, and plus a lot of like we said, brings a lot of interest into the city. SmackDown, Trish started the show and she seemed emotional. Jackson Candice interrupted, and Chelsea Green is just an afterthought at this moment in time. I don't want to talk about it. I'm too upset. We got a random US title contender tournament, I guess, to fill 3 hours. Solo gave Jacob his spot, and Jacob beat Andrade. LA Knight beat Escobar. Hayes beat Braun, thanks to doing an Eddie. Knight defeated Fatu and Hayes. We also saw Logan coming out to Cena's music, the biggest pop he ever had. Rox, Liv, and Raquel beat Naomi, Belair, and Bayley, with Rox pinning Bayley clean. Bliss took out Rox afterwards. And then finally, the Cody promo. The Rock had a custom truck sent over as a gift for Cody. Gina, would you sell your soul to the final boss?
For
a truck?
Part of me wants to say yes, I actually would. I really would. But in this instance, no, I would not. No.
We'll move on to Chamber Countdown. March 1st, and Cole, Pat, Biggie, and Wade. We had Kefri Kelly and Byron Saxton just wandering around. We had The Rock interview with his vision. I mean, how great is he? Like the biggest opening movie on Netflix. Oh, no, the biggest opening on Amazon, whatever that means. Biggest movie on Netflix. The Moana Billions. He's just a true genius, that man. Trish just left the car in the middle of the car park, which I thought was a bit awkward. Candice and Nia were interviewed. We saw Jackie Redmond take over with Pete Rosenberg. We saw sit down with Logan. And the thing is with Logan, everybody, is that he will dig his own grave. The main event menu with Big E, and Big E throwing food into the crowd. Then we saw Joe Test ringside, and the US national anthem was booed. What's up with that, Monty, man? Pat wasn't happy either. I mean, come on, man.
As the American here in this on this show, I want to say that much like a lot of stuff going on, Pat, by the way, Pat apologized because he knew he had to, because he sounded like an idiot. Because if you even got remotely, I don't care what political affiliation you have in this country, if you don't know why they're booing, then you're either being obtuse or you're not informed at all. But yes, our president is an idiot. The Canadians know that, and there you go. That's why they're booing. There's a lot more details in that, but that's my summary. You can go look up the information for yourself if you want to think about it some other time, guys. But yeah, we have disrespected our neighbors, and they are disrespecting us back.
I'm just glad we're not playing hockey, and I did feel a bit sorry for the singer, but the Canadian national anthem got a better reception for her, so that was fine. And again, it's crazy to think that this is going to be held in a stadium, And Jaxie, we've been reviewing WWE now since the COVID era, and to get to this point where like the Chamber for the second year running is in a stadium, is just a massive statement for WWE right now.
It really is. They've got, such a huge platform, and I think that this successful move to Netflix has also given giving way to like sort of a new, fresh bunch of audience, you know. So it really helps kind of like it the arenas help like sort of the ambiance of like how important like these sort of matches, these events are. It looks great though.
Yeah. Oh, without doubt. I mean, this is the same place that held WrestleMania 6 and WrestleMania 18, you know. So for a chamber to come in, and it felt big, and we started big with the women's chamber as well. Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Bayley, and Bianca Belair made their way to the pods with Liv and Naomi starting, and everything was fine. Or so we thought. Jay Cargill came to the ring and attacked Naomi instead of Morgan, what everyone was expecting. Blair pleaded from inside the pod as a storm decimated the Glow. Cargill left, and Naomi was declared unfit to fight and taken away on a stretcher. And Jaxie, don't you just hate those quiet starts to the chamber matches? I mean, what the fuck happened here?
I mean, all hell broke loose. I mean, what actually I should say, what a storm was coming, and a storm came, blew Naomi away, and then that was it. This was such a great way to start the chamber. It was so explosive, and like right from the very start of her music dropping, you still didn't know where her head was at, because the look in Liv Morgan's face was like she'd seen a ghost. So you really couldn't even tell in that moment if it was actually Liv that had taken her out. Seeing her come in and just rag Naomi about, and you have Bianca like there in the background, stuck in the cage, you know, screaming, and all this emotion going through her, like it just really set the tone already. Like the hypeness before the actual match even got started was unreal. So this was excellently well executed.
Yeah, you know you're on the road to WrestleMania when this starts off the match. Liv just waited for the next competitor.
I mean, it's not an elimination chamber if you don't have anyone being carted out on like a trolley at all, right? So why not get it over with from the very start of the match, you know?
And again, the EST who was in the pod was screaming. Obviously, the clip from inside is awful, isn't it? She tried to get outside the cage to help. Morgan attacked from behind, and we actually got into the chamber match. And Naomi was the only person who had been eliminated by the time we got to all the competitors in the match. And surprisingly, Bayley was the next elimination. And Liv got the worst of the EST. Again, in the chamber matchup, and Monty, we've seen Belair wrestle, and we know what she can do. But that was a gunshot, the hair whip to Liv. And credit to Morgan. I will never doubt her toughness again.
Yeah, credit to Liv Morgan in general. You know, I do think that some of them, if I don't necessarily dislike her, but like I feel like you spend too much time on the internet, then it'll make you want to dislike someone like Liv, because her fans are like, they're becoming like a little like, I don't know what they call those fans, like cults like. And I'm not trying to say that they are cults. I'm just saying they love them some Liv Morgan, and I do think her improvement and the work in this match in general deserves a shout. But yeah, man, that strike is always amazing to hear that, and just the sound effect it leaves, and the fact that I saw a live shot, not even the shot that's on the broadcast with the microphones and stuff. I saw a live shot, and people who were in the crowd heard the whip. So that just kind of show you that's not, and the immediate whelp that's like in our midsection. Yeah, so like you can see that's not it's not gimmicked. It's not anything about it. And if you know anything about Bianca, Bianca has warned everybody. She's warned everybody. Leave her hair alone. For some reason, somebody just have to try to yank her by her hair, and they always pay for it.
I hope there's girls in schools doing that now. Do you know what I mean? Like even try, like I did as a young lad, trying something fucking stupid. They're gonna, hit their friend with the hair and realize just how much it hurts. Unfortunately, Roxanne Perez was eliminated next. Morgan eliminated Bliss to piss me right off and narrowed the field down to her and Belair. Both women came close to winning several times, and it finally ended with the EST hitting a KOD for the pin and the win. Gina, what are your thoughts? Bianca Belair on her way to WrestleMania.
Oh, God. I am just with you on that, James, in terms of what the fuck with Bliss. Like, she was hyped. She was hyped so much. Like, oh, I'm so gutted. I really thought that she was gonna get it. So as soon as she got eliminated, I was a bit dejected. I'm not gonna lie, but then I just thought, no, it's gonna have to be Bianca then. And like again, it adds more to the storyline of Bianca, Jade, and Naomi, because it's kind of like how convenient for Bianca that Jade was taken out. Bianca's kind of been elevated ever since, and now she's just got her ticket to WrestleMania too, and if Jade hadn't been injured, would she be the one in this position right now? Would she have been in Bianca's spot in the chamber? Would she have won that ticket to WrestleMania? So it does look like it could be quite convenient for Bianca that all of this happened. She didn't even have to take out her own friend Naomi to get out of the chamber, because Jade did that for her, and in a sense, this is what you could build on the story. It could still go a whole other complete different way, but in some ways, these are the sort of thoughts that came out of Bianca getting this win. I think it was the right choice for Bianca to get the win. I think her storyline is probably the most hype at the moment, so it makes sense to keep that hype going into the WrestleMania. And I'm just excited to see, who she would then go up against, whether that be Rio or Io or Ripley, sorry. So yeah, I definitely thought the match was great. I'm gutted with my prediction.
Yeah, I thought it was fucking shit. And I think something needs to be said, because I mentioned this on AEW and people have before, and Jack C, I think it's fair. Bianca Belair was just given the Tony Storm treatment. Go away for a little while, come back when it's important and win the title. I don't know if I'm more annoyed by that or the fact I didn't see it. It's WrestleMania and Bianca Belair has to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of more looked at it like, well, finally, at least you're giving, sort of someone a little bit of appreciation towards the end of Black History Month. I really appreciate that. But also, like, we got to realize as well, Bianca just again set a record by becoming the first woman to win a chamber twice. So that was like a hype moment. And again, I felt like, if there was going to be any sort of pull, it was going to be like, again, with obviously not taking into account like the most recent of events, Rhea versus Bianca sounds like a pretty good WrestleMania match to me. But I also feel like a lot of the story that is blending in with Bianca, Jade, and Naomi could be made bigger, and whether or not that kind of goes on into WrestleMania, inserting sort of Bianca into sort of this title picture kind of automatically would bring the other two as well sort of towards that picture. So yeah, I mean, I was really pleased with the outcome of this. I did have Bianca as a prediction, and
good for
again,
you.
I went in. Thank you. But I did go into this thinking that like my thoughts are that like Jade had returned, beat upon Naomi because Bianca was in the cage, but that it's Bianca that took out Jade in the first place. So that was why I picked Bianca for the win.
No doubt. More from the chamber match as well, Monty. It was good to see Roxanne Perez. And as we mentioned on NXT, it looks like she's just effortlessly moved to the main roster. And like we said, a couple of pins over Bayley.
Yeah, she's pulling double duty right now. She'll probably be done with NXT after Stand and Deliver, or maybe even before that. But either way it goes, yeah, she's seamlessly transitioned. I mean, she's had the in-ring talent probably since she's been there. She's had the in-ring talent. It was all about finding yourself as a character. Like she tried the babyface route and she was good at it in my opinion. She evoked sympathy, but I do think she came into her own, much like Braun Breaker in a way, came into his own once they turned heel and was allowed to that freedom that being heel gets you. And now, like mentioned earlier, people who may not be familiar with her thinks that she has the mic skills and the confidence to stand up to anybody, and that just shows you how far I believe that means she has kind of came in that regard. Because I think if she did have a weak spot watching her in NXT, it was probably promos at first, and she's improved 100% in my opinion in that regard. So now she feels like she's the full package. I can definitely see her at the top of this division or towards the top of this division. But honestly, we talked about this too, James. she's what, like 23, 24? Like, she's so young. She's got so much time. Roxanne is gonna be if if WWE continue to do right by her and allow her to grow and develop, she's going to be a figment of this division for the next decade plus, most likely. So yeah, man, she was great here too. She also got a chance to shine. You mentioned how she got eliminated, and but you didn't, because you were doing quick notes, but you didn't mention that she took basically everyone who was left in the ring finisher. So like, they really tried to put over that she was a legit
I was
threat,
annoyed. All right.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad you said that, because I want to go back to your point. This ain't no Tony Storm, bro. Bianca have not had the world title since 2023 November. I remember it. She's not been a champion. She took the whole 2024 off and went to the tag division and held that on her back whether it's with Jade or whether it's with Naomi. She has not sniffed a world title. So what are you talking about? It is not the same thing. Tony Storm left for a few months.
You just hate
after losing the belt to Mariah and literally
she's always
going to
have in the title matches. She's always got to have gold on her.
Yeah,
so is that not what you do? Is that not what you do when you what did John Cena do when he was on the road? Was John Cena missed a WrestleMania? When he was at he was at his peak?
Alexa Bliss would have got more from the victory. That's all I'm going to say.
Alexa Bliss has never been truly number one.
She got enough time. Alexa Bliss has only just returned. She got enough time. Plus, we already expecting her to join the Wyatt Six. I want to see her already.
Right. She got so much other stuff she could do.
I see her going back with Nikki and those two now taking over the tag division.
You can make the case that she's already been world champion more than she had any right to be already in her career.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Quite a lot. So shut up.
She was already look at Sasha Banks. How many times Sasha Banks, 5-time world champion, lost all those championship reigns? And how many times was it to Alexa Bliss, somebody who we knew Sasha has been better than for years? Don't do this. Don't have me shit on Alexa Bliss. I like Alexa Bliss.
Why shitting on Alexa Bliss? What's she done wrong? What's she done wrong?
Because like,
and why would it make sense for them to be on separate if the Jade
you are the only one
you are with Bianca? Why would that storyline then be separated with Belair going on to Raw to feud with Io Rhea? Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense to you. But we've been watching people get transferred week by week. Nia Jax's on Raw and SmackDown popping up every week. I'm saying people. I said if we've watched people get transferred week by week, you're the only one holding on to this brand supremacy stuff. You know,
and don't act like there's not always people jumping ship and jumping roster all the way.
Right. It happens all the time. And then last year, all I know is I better not go back in no footage of you last year being mad that Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair was not one of those matches that was on the card when people were mad that Rhea was fighting.
Can we move on? Can we move on, please? We've spent too much time on this now.
No. Hold on. Before I move on, I just want to say this. We know the real truth of the matter of this. If all of y'all have done enough shows with James to know really what it is. It has nothing to do with Bianca. He was just wrong. James cannot be wrong. He don't like being wrong. He was dead wrong. Gina was also wrong, and Gina is not complaining. Gina's not making arguments that don't make sense.
Have you heard of
let me just say my points on this. And I am not saying this to be personal to anyone, but for me, as soon as Alexa was eliminated, I already knew that I fucked up because I should have gone with Bianca because her storyline is much hotter right now, and Alexa's only just come back and has plenty ahead of her to get back into that main title picture. And also, it made all the more sense that Bianca got this win.
That's not what you were saying to me yesterday. That's all I'm going to say.
You liar. I did not say you yesterday, James.
Let me ask you this, James. If it was important what you talking about with this brand stuff, why the hell is Bianca and them in the match? Why is Bianca and Naomi in this match anyway? If that was what if that's important, this whole brand stuff.
If it's 3-3, it would make sense, but surely you go for the person on the brand. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're going to do scores in a minute. And Rhea Ripley at the end with Io faced off with Bianca, which again are the kind of three at this moment in time in WWE. So, Gina, what would you score the match?
This match was explosive from beginning to end. For me, I'm gonna give it like 4 3/4 for the win.
It feels like I was just in a match as well. Jaxie?
This was a 5 for me. I enjoyed this match so much.
Monty?
4.5.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4 1/4. It wasn't that great, was it? Moving on, predictions. Dubbing our prediction league 2025 after Vengeance Day, before Chamber. Jaxie and Gina, unfortunately, NXT Vengeance Day didn't go that well. Monty and I got the win there, which means the bonus league is Gina on 7, Jaxie on 9, Monty on 10, and I am on 11. In WWE, it's a 4-way tie with all of us winning the Royal Rumble. AEW is not yet underway yet. And as you can, I mean, believe this or not, Monty and Jaxie did go Belair. Me and Gina did go Bliss. I don't know if that was mentioned. Monty and Jaxie on 1, and James and Gina on 0. Up next, Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. Trish hit a Fez press to get things going. It didn't take long for the fight to spill out the ring, so all 4 women can get involved. After a hot start, there was a bit of a lull in the middle, but eventually started picking up the pace again. The match was bookended by some entertaining action, and like I said, it did slow down in the middle. Stratton was able to pick up the win for a team by hitting a signature moonsault on Nia Jax. Jaxie, what are your thoughts on this?
I feel like this was just one of those like feel good matches. Like, it was really nice to see Trish back in the ring, and like she just got such a pop being back in her hometown. It's always nice to actually see sort of like the sort of like team up. And I just think that this made like sort of Tiffany Stratton just like look even more the baby face. I thought it was an okay match, you know. It did what it needed to do. I thought it was entertaining enough as it was, and I kind of expected this sort of outcome. This sort of the way they won.
Yeah, and also both teams colour coordinated, which was good.
Yeah.
And another,
Cool.
it's always good to see.
Cool to see. Yeah.
And another thing as well, Monty, the good thing with Tiffany Stratton teaming with Trish is at least Tiffany knows what she looks like in 25 years. So it's always handy, really.
I'm no comment on that. I'm staying out women business. I think to be honest, I think you should shoot to look that much like you haven't really changed like a Trish Stratus. But yeah, no comment to be honest. But I don't know. I mean, this was fine. I don't know why I was here. Uh, I don't mind the match itself, and I love Candice LeRae. So I don't mind her being here, but it's more so my whole thing is this match or this show, in my opinion, I thought for the most part, if you think about the chamber matches, you think about Sammy and Kevin, we're heading towards Mania. I thought that's what we're doing, and I just don't understand. Did Charlotte get hurt in the Rumble? Like, I know I don't know if you guys noticed. We can talk about it even more later if you want, but so far, with Tiffany's been the one wrestling, and then Charlotte shows up, do something, and whoop. And I'm just like, why Charlotte? Wouldn't this match at least been more interesting even from a prediction standpoint, not even just from watching? If like Charlotte was not his partner or something like that, and then you could even like make a little bit more drama. I don't know. To me, that's just
that would have made more
process.
sense for sure.
Right, because it's like,
yeah, that would have made.
What are we doing? And we need like that. That's the one feud that, if you really think about it, at this point, I don't know what they're doing at all in regards to building that match. It's like they're just coasting on the fact that me and you, us hardcore fans who watch it enough, understand that it's Charlotte who has been the chosen top blonde versus the new possible chosen top blood. Like that's really what that's the only thing we can go off of, is that Tiffany is the now and Charlotte has been the one and she's trying to regain her throne. I mean, that's the only way we can look at it. But other than that, there's nothing really else to latch on to here. So Charlotte not wrestling in this match seemed like a missed opportunity from my perspective, just from a interest standpoint. But again, this was good. I thought they did their best. They did a good job. And like you mentioned earlier, this definitely was at least a feel-good moment for the Trish Stratus fans out there, and for the people who want to, the Canadians who get a chance to watch her perform in front of them again. So I thought it was cool from that point, and it was definitely some cool moments, like the super stratisfaction and stuff like that. That was cool. But overall, I just thought it was like mentioned earlier, like it was good, but I don't know why we're not building towards the Mania match, because that match has no heat to me.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing in it, Gina, with this matchup. This was about Trish Stratus with a pop and maybe getting a rub from Tiffany Stratton, because again, Tiffany's not gone fully face yet, but obviously teaming with Trish and then facing Charlotte, you feel like the crowd is going to be on her side. And shout out to Nia Jax as well, who's been in a consistent position since last year's Chamber.
Yeah, definitely. For me, this did feel more like, the feel-good hometown hero promotion type match that I feel like they always have on their PLEs. But it helped for me. I find that it helped to elevate Tiffany a little bit more in the babyface range, but also show like she works well with a legend rather than, being kind of one of those youths that doesn't want any help from a legend and can get there by themselves, etc. Like, it just showed like she can work well with the legend. And like you said, Nia Jax has just been consistent in her roles for the past year. So for me, it was a great match. There was a little dip in the middle of it, but again, it's kind of come off the back of the hype of the Chamber match as well. But I was still thoroughly entertained, and like you guys said, I feel like with the hometown hero Trish being there, and because she is still really loved in the WWE fandom, I think it just was a feel good match for the right win to happen as well. And Nia and Candice did well to just play their stupid evil parts.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like I said, there's always a role to be played in that match. So scores out of 5, then Jaxie, what would you give it?
I'll give this like a 4.25.
4.25. Monty?
3 3/4.
And Gina?
I'll give it a 4.
I gave it 3 3/4. Predictions, we all went for the TT. So Monty and Jaxie on 2, James and Gina on 1. There was 38,493 people. Monty, can you explain something to me? Because I'm not really sure. I know the stadium being changed, because I didn't know if they used half the stadium, because obviously WrestleMania's had 60,000. So has it been developed recently or anything like that? I really should have Googled it.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I don't know the difference between the Rogers Center, because that's where they were at. I think that's where like the Blue Jays play, and which is a MLB team. They got a big dome up there. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. 38,000 sounds low, though. I must say.
It's weird, isn't it? That you hear
low,
38,000, you go, really? But again, it's 38,000 for a show. It's fantastic. It's like, yeah.
Just saw a smile for a dome. And then I remember in WrestleMania, but I don't remember the exact number for that Mania. But to be fair, we know back in the day they definitely used to elevate those numbers. So I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it probably was 38,000 back in the day, but who knows? Anyway, we get up next the Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn match. The lights were turned down in the arena as Owens and Zayn circled each other. And Jaxie, for some reason, I just thought of you here, because again, we've talked about AEW before, and WWE are using like an AEW kind of gimmick, because this was first used for their kind of lights out match. So it's see what they've done to change wrestling in a weird way.
I mean, again, you can't say that like the promotions don't help to inspire others, to do more with their sets and promos and settings as well. So it's a nice change up for sure. But it also goes to show you that like sometimes like having other different promotions can cause new ideas or further inspiration to change things up.
As for the match, well, I said the unsanctioned match, KO through the first punch, and then it was off to the races. Zayn was selling his injured neck in the early moments. It didn't take long for him to start digging around under the ring for weapons. After a few chairs were used, Zayn grabbed a hockey stick to get a big pop for the Canadian crowd. Such an easy pop. But this was a brutal fight. that took both men into the crowd and used everything they could to find and inflict damage. The crowd were eating up. The friends turned rivals, punished each other. Zayn used a chair wrapped in barbed wire several times, but Owens still found a way to kick out. KO eventually hit a powerbomb at the apron, just like he did the first night he was in NXT. And after one more, he finally rolled Zayn into the ring for the pin. This is one of the matches that you just need to see for yourself, because no recap will do it justice. As it looked like Owens was going to try and attack Zayn, Randy Orton's music hit, and he hit the prize fighter with an RKO with a classic look from Kevin Owens as well. He lined up the punt, but Owens rolled out of the way. Monty, this was, again, I don't want to use the wrong words, but this was cinema.
Yeah, man, it was great. I mean, Kevin and Sammy at this point, I don't know how many times I've watched them do this in different ways, whether it was before WWE or during WWE, and where we are now. You know, they do it. They've done it as a tag team. They've done it against each other, and to do this, like you say, in this stipulation, to be that brutal, like you mentioned, it's funny that you mentioned the AEW type of match, because it not only did it feel like that and it matched up kind of with that style, but it also they did a good job of just incorporating things that you're not really used to seeing from in WWE matches. But they also kept telling a story that was connected to their history and all that. So again, I mean, I don't know how much bigger those two guys, or how much better they really can be with each other. I mean, honestly, usually two guys who have been partners, who have been opponents in this many different ways, you eventually get to that point to where it's like, oh, okay, well, you know, they've done it all. They don't have to touch each other again for whatever. But somehow, no matter, you know, then add on to the fact it's logical why they're beefing, or it's logical both angles of the thing, and just Sammy is so good at fighting from down under. Like you said, everyone should watch this match. It's just one of those matches, and at this point, Kevin Owens should really not even be. I don't know. I think the fans appreciate him, but I don't know if everybody. And hopefully that's what we'll get one day. You can get some confirmation of how management or how people look at him backstage, because and not his peers. We know his peers respect him, but Kevin has a Hall of Fame resume, and he still, in my opinion, hasn't achieved as much as he probably should have by now. You know, and I think matches like, to do stuff like this, it's not even this. Like the match with Cody, like think about what the hell he's put his body through just in these last few big matches. So kudos to Kevin, man. He's great. Sammy is great. No matter how much he loses, you still believe in Sammy. So it's just, yeah, man, these two guys, I know Triple H know when in doubt, I can weave something together and let these two guys go out there and make magic. And that's exactly what happened here. And then the Randy inclusion, I was worried when we was predicting. I was like, man, I might have to go Sammy. Maybe Randy show up before. But thank goodness Randy respected the rules of the match for some reason.
The unsanctioned match, he was like, this is fine. I don't need to help Sammy until after.
Right. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until he loses. But yeah, this was great, man. This is some special stuff. I gave it 5 stars. I love this match.
But again, you know, I rewatched the event, but I rewatched this match along with the closed, you know, ending segment again, and it was just as good second and third time round. And the scary thing is about these two men as well, and Gina, this is kind of what Monty touched on, is these guys don't need long to make it as personal as this match got. What was it? The night after night after Royal Rumble to this point, and it's a match like this, and that's 4 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think I can say anything else that will give this match justice. You know, you guys explained it perfectly. I thought it was executed well, and again, both these guys involved are able to just capture your attention right away. I loved it, and for me, it was also a 5-star match.
About that. And again, the different threads in the matchup, the powerbomb in the end to connect it to the kind of what they did in NXT as well. I loved it. And Jaxie, another thing I really liked, it was great to see Jay Cargill earlier and Randy Orton now both show up in full gear with knee pads and everything. It's better to be prepared than anything else, isn't it? You know.
I didn't even notice that Jade came out with knee pads and everything. I mean, I knew she was in her gear, but I just thought she was, kind of show off her body a bit. Plus, it would be a bit awkward if she returned in like high heels and like a nice suit to come and rock up Naomi, so it kind of made sense. But to be honest, I've only just caught it on. Like, why didn't Randy come out sooner? So it's kind of funny.
I'm gonna
really.
fuck up Monty's predictions, yeah.
Well, mine too.
Exactly.
I think you guys summed everything up really well. I don't think we'd actually do the match justice, but it's like the one thing that I will add is you can just see the level of respect and trust both of these two men have for each other to go through what they do. And as you say, not even need so much too much time before things just get so personal that you're already invested in the match and you can't look away. So again, this was a brilliant showcase of two men who are so accustomed to one another and know how to put on a good match and just, have fun with it. This match was great. 5-star all around for me.
Yeah, without doubt. And Randy dispatched the security team with RKOs, which made the crowd happy as well. 5 for me. Predictions, all our wins. So it means Jackson Monty on 3, James and Gina on 2, as we head to the men's elimination chamber. And I tell you what, there was a nice promo leading to this about the kind of 7 sins and each wrestler. And again, I like that kind of stuff. We should have more. Anyway, Logan, Priest, Punk, and Cena.
What makes Logan Paul slothy? That's all. That's the only question I got.
Look, don't take this away from you. You've taken everything else away. I enjoyed it. All right. God damn it. He's sloppy. Anyway, sloppy Logan, Priest, Punk, and Cena in pods. Seth and Drew started, which didn't fill me with confidence. I'm not going to lie. The Toronto crowd was more anti-Paul than anything else. So the cheers and boos depended on whether he's being beaten up or doing a beating up at the same time. McIntyre was shockingly eliminated first after hitting John Cena with a Claymore and looking to pin Cena. It was obvious. And then Priest cheating, rolling them up. Paul eliminate Priest.
I actually caught that. I was watching it with Gina, and just before it happened, I went, he's gonna get eliminated with a roll up, and then it just happened. I was like, this is just brilliant. This is epic.
Yeah, glad you enjoyed it. Well, McIntyre hit Priest with a Claymore. Paul managed to hit a frog splash on Damien on top of the pod. Oh, fucking hell. A few minutes to eliminate him. A few minutes later, Punk eliminated the Maverick with a GTS and got a massive pop. Punk turned a handshake from Cena down and hugged him instead. And then they started throwing punches. Rollins, Punk, and Cena had a lot of history between them. So the final 3 spent a long time in the ring together. Cena spent several minutes recovering after being put through one of the pod windows by Seth. But he recovered, and he and Punk both hit Rollins with a finisher to eliminate him from the match. Rollins stayed at ringside, hit Punk with a stomp before Cena saw his opportunity and made the best in the world pass out to an STF to score the win and earn a title shot against Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 41. Gina, what are your thoughts?
I mean, just wow. In terms of the ending of this match, it was just here, there, and everywhere. But one thing I am going to definitely comment on is, Seth, you are your own downfall, bruv. You're your own downfall. You literally are your own enemy. I swear there were plenty of times that he could have excelled more in this match, but his bitterness for CM Punk just overtook him again in this match, and that's what I think led to his elimination. The fact that he just couldn't get over his issues and his problems with Punk clouded his judgment a lot in all the moves he made. But even that ending to CM Punk, I hadn't noticed that Seth hadn't left the ring. So when that stomp came out of nowhere, I was just shook. I burst out laughing. It was hilarious, but it was also like, shit, I did not see this coming. And Seth is such a petty bitch. He really is, to just be like, nah, Punk, I'm gonna screw you over too. So yeah, Seth really made it for me in terms of the entertainment, I will say, for this match. Logan Paul did a few good entertaining spots here or there, but I don't really care for him, so we'll move past him quite quickly. And I was gonna say I did love the camaraderie between Punk and Cena. I won't elaborate further on the rest of my thoughts for that because I'll wait for you to talk more about the rest of the show. But yeah, right. I did like that camaraderie between them both when they were in the chamber. I did see this outcome happening just because of all the promos we've had for this being John's final year and things like that. So I felt like he has to have something under his belt. So for me, this was the way to go in getting him like there with the chamber win. But yeah, it was definitely a chamber still worthy to stay awake for if you were staying up to watch this show.
Yeah, I completely agree. And again, Jaxie Gina made some great points there, talking about, when Logan was eliminated and it became like the match felt, more tense. And again, the great camera angles with Punk getting caught with the stomp. But again, like we talk about in the matchup as well, it was the kind of Punk's popularity of the crowd. So we all knew Cena was favourite, but Punk being there gave that bit of doubt, which made the chamber a little bit more special.
Yeah, I think so. I think when you've watched as many Elimination Chamber matches as we have, at certain points, especially towards the main event, if the main event chamber match is not, got great pacing and stuff, you can really lose like a lot of that hypeness from the crowd. But you can see that there was a lot of intensity when it came down to the final three and just sort of like the unknown outcome and the suspense that was building up. So I think that this was a great way to end the chamber. There's definitely a lot that was set up storyline wise with other wrestlers leading on from this chamber match. So I was like, I felt like this match ended up creating more like stories for different wrestlers possibly going into Mania. So we'll soon see about that, though. I'm sure we've got a lot to say in terms of what came up on SmackDown. So I'll wait till we get there to kind of discuss that more, I suppose. But yeah, like my sister said, I think this was the best way to get John Cena to WrestleMania. This outcome was a surprising one because it was like sort of done through the aid of Seth Rollins, like stomping Punk. It would have been nice to have known whether or not like Cena could have actually gotten that one over on Punk, like clean. But I guess we'll never know.
No, I guess we won't. And again, there was stuff I was annoyed about in the matchup, obviously, and I'll go on a little rant in a minute. But Monty, I just want to kind of, because we've skirted on the issue this podcast, but is Logan Paul like America right now? Do you know what I mean? It's that. That's what I kind of get.
He got a lot in common with him. He's a great poster child for a big percentage of America in a lot of ways, people. In a lot of ways, you can do your research on that. So yeah, definitely, that's a great little metaphor for what he is. Also, it's a great metaphor on how I'm literally hoping so many of my favorite wrestlers have nothing to do with him at WrestleMania. Like right now, I think it's AJ who possibly could be mixed in, and they were, like you said, they were teasing Punk, and I'm like, please give these people something else to do. Don't. Whoever is stuck with Logan's match, don't do that. We don't need it. But anyway, yeah, no. He definitely is what he is. But he was doing, he. I have to say this. I don't care for him, and a lot of people shouldn't. And I have no problem with it, but his instincts, he be posting these vlogs, and sometimes I'm annoyed by his vlogs because I'm like, why are you exposing all of this information on the wrestlers that who knows if they're comfortable with you filming? We know you have the stroke to film and you can do what you want, but who knows if Rhea Ripley wants you in her face? Blah blah blah. Exert this and exert that, but exert any person you want in that situation, but. I do give him props. He heard that they booed the national anthem. and he brought the flag out. Like that is some great heel, just a feel. But a lot of that probably got to do with who he is in real life. Like he is maybe easy. It may come natural to him to be an irritant on TV because he's just like that in real life too. So yeah,
He's an asshole.
Right. So it's easy to play one on TV when you just are. Right. It's easy to play one on TV. So yeah, man. But yeah, no, I think overall though, as much as I complain about him being there, like yes, I would give his spot to AJ Styles in a heartbeat. Imagine if you have another world champion caliber person in that spot, it would have been great. But you said something, Jackson, that really made me think, and that's why I was like, you have to watch that match because I guarantee you, Punk wouldn't have lost to Cena straight up. The only reason why I say that is because he kicked out of like 6.
Honestly, yeah, the stomps and stuff like that. I was going, fucking hell.
He survived the attitude adjustment. Yeah. He kept kicking out of like he just kicked out of everything. It was like we know Super Cena, but that was definitely like a Super Punk-esque performance, and to the point where he didn't even tap out of the STF, which by the way was one of the best looking STF Cena ever put on.
Yeah.
He actually
he looked like he was choking him. Yeah.
Right. Which by the way, ding ding. Think about it. Think about what's about to happen. That is something, but it's something to think about. Right. When I rewatched it back today, and I was like, yo, like Cena really was putting in
that's aggressive.
Yeah, he got criticized for years for his STF being trash. So and he did. It's funny. He did a trash version earlier that CM Punk survived. So it's very hilarious. But yeah, so Punk was really bringing it. He really, like you said, James, in my opinion, was in one of the, if not the MVP, he was definitely like one of those things that made this match feel special. Like him and Cena's chemistry is still there. They was hitting all the greatest hits, reversals and stuff and everything that we know. You can just tell. It's funny, like they haven't touched in years, but like it's just like it's kind of like when Punk went against Samoa Joe in AEW. Like the same thing happened. Well, they haven't really fought in years, but that chemistry, it comes right back to you like that. So yeah, man, that was great. I'm like you, James. I do have a couple of nitpicks because I mentioned how CM Punk was a Superman, and then you have all right, Drew getting rolled up. Okay, it is what it is. That's a surprise thing. I'm not really a fan of it in a chamber, but okay, it is what it is. But like Priest just take one Claymore, and then Logan takes advantage of it. And it's just like, okay, so everybody don't have that special thing. And then they even protected Self because Self took the GTS and the Attitude Adjustment. So yeah, it was just funny how they were picking and choosing with that. But I don't think it took away from the match. Like the energy, the excitement that everybody felt was great. It was cool to have a situation where even if Cena lost right there, what are we getting Cena and Logan Paul or something? Yeah. Like what do we get? So yeah, it's very scary to think about it. But it was cool to see Cena pull out another one of those signature victories. And I was the funny thing about this, I was actually already excited for WrestleMania, and then they. So yeah, this is great. I have no real complaints. I'll let you get your shit out, Jack.
Nah. Well, Triple H has always been jealous of Drew McIntyre. Drew is a much bigger, better version than Triple H, but there's no McMahon to marry. So what to do? You know, I hope the money is worth it. I don't even care about Priest versus Drew. I mean, what's he going to do? Cut the top rope with his sword, and which he still has in 2K25. Fuck me. Right, so scores.
I mean, tell us how you really feel, James.
What? I'm all right. Got a lot to unpick.
Okay. All right,
I got something for you. We'll talk about it later, James. But I got theories for you.
All right. Gina, score out of 5, please.
As in for the overall show, score out of 5.
For the match, men's chamber.
Oh, sorry. For this match, do you know what? I'm gonna give it 4 3/4 as well.
4 3/4. Jaxie?
Yep, same 4 3/4.
And Monty?
Yeah, I think 4 3/4 is probably where a fair rating because like it really kicked up in that extra gear to make it almost. If it was like that final 3 the entire time, then you might get a 5.
Yeah, I don't. Predictions, we all went Cena. So final scores: Gina James on 3, Monty and Jaxie on 4, and the perfect score as well. So I can't believe I'm saying this. Congratulations, Jaxie. Well done.
Booyah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Monty, I mean, I wasn't in the lead for long, man, but at least I made it laugh.
In my soul.
Fucking it. So bonus league, Gina's on 7, Jaxie now on 10, just 1 point behind James and Monty, because Monty now is tied with me on 11. WWE, James and Gina on 1, Monty and Jaxie are on 2 on the WWE prediction.
You sound so bummed out, man. What happened?
I'm fine. I'm well happy.
Yeah.
Anyway, the segment with The Rock, Arsenal thought Cody Rhodes' soul ended the pay-per-view. A lot of people were moaning about it, going, how is this more important than the chamber match? Well, we would find out. John Cena was in the ring following his chamber win, and Travis Scott was with The Rock. Apparently, he's a rapper. Rock asked Rhodes to embrace him and accept his offer, while Scott began smoking in the corner next to Cena. American Nightmare said he had already given his soul to the ring and the fans. So, Rocky, go fuck yourself, which got a massive pop. Cena applauded Rhodes' decision as The Rock stared at him motionless for a long time. Cena hugged the American Nightmare and then got the signal from the final boss. He delivered a low blow to Rhodes to turn heel for the first time in a long time. Rock watched as Cena took Rhodes apart. Travis gave Cody a black eye, which was nice. And they beat him down and stood tall to end. I mean, we'll go round everybody, but Jaxie, I mean, the moment, and again, I don't care what anybody says. Oh, I saw this coming. No, you fucking didn't. No, you did not like this. It was just everything.
Yeah.
The hug, from the hug onwards, even to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And it did feel a bit like AEW, didn't it? You know, as we mentioned a bit earlier.
Yeah, I think I was pretty shocked because Cody's not the type of person to use like the F-bomb on TV that often.
You taught my daughter that phrase, by the way.
Oh my gosh, Cody, you're a bad influence. But yeah, you know what? You're right, James. Ain't no way anyone saw this coming. The way that Cena's face dropped actually had me feel like I was, watching one of those movies where someone just walks into a massive trap and like all shit is about to go down. Like John Cena's face drop for me had my mouth drop, Like I was not expecting it. So, bullshit on anyone who says I saw this coming, because you did not see it coming this way.
No.
And
again,
all I kept thinking of though is The Rock just reminded me of like a Russian mafia boss, the way he did that sign,
which was the same sign he used at Bad Blood.
Yeah,
was it
the sign everybody laughed at?
The sign at Bad Blood, and he used exactly the same at the chamber.
Interesting. There's a pattern here, but also I did notice as well that like someone said that The Rock had pointed up 3 fingers, and so far like that's been 2, like Roman and Cody, that he's taken out. So I don't know if that's like just internet lure
or 3
or
fingers, and the 0 is Cena's signature.
That's also
as well.
Cena's tongue.
So that could be Cena's taunt that he's doing across the throat.
He could. So there's so many different takes we can have on this. But keep your eye out on a third victim. I've got theories on that too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Gina, like I said, this was a shocking moment, and something that we kind of dream about reviewing on the podcast, really, because John Cena turn heel is such a big deal, especially in his last year, and the execution with the crowd and everything like that were firmly behind Cody Rhodes, and Cody now has turned Roman properly, The Rock, and now John Cena. He is the man. This proves it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, the face drop of John was just like quite creepy, and it's been memed a lot since it's happened, you know. But again, it's just crazy that we're actually reviewing John Cena turning heel. If for those of you who watched John Cena create his character and come in as one of those little punk bitches with the no branded, no colored panties. He had his like no brand for himself and created the brand for himself, and he was forever the baby face. Like, it's just crazy to know that we're reviewing him as a heel now, and that's what it's going to be going forward. It is super crazy to think about, but again, it just shows you that even if he's going out in his final year, if he's not done something, he's definitely going to try and tap that before he goes.
Doubt. And again, Monty, when we built up the last takeover event, I was talking about like how big of impact this group of 4 men could potentially have. It's all hypo leading into a show. And, when you think the Chamber is going to have something that kind of will change professional wrestling history, you go, all right. But this actually has. And this was such a pleasant surprise with everything seemingly connecting towards the end as well.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of discourse around like the ideas or what The Rock pitched, and he wanted Cody first. But I honestly, the way it executed, it's just like, to me, I'm not saying I don't believe it. I'm just saying that it was executed so well that it's hard to believe that they wanted this to go any other way. You know what I'm saying? So uh, it's just like you said, it's groundbreaking. It's one of those things that you don't really expect, but it's also very genius. Like, we talked about it, like, for years, a section of the audience, you know, and maybe everybody or a lot of people wanted to see Cena go heel, and a lot of people probably, as time went on, realized no, probably never gonna happen. He's gonna be a hero. He's gonna have his farewell tour, and even WWE, when they promoted it, John Cena retiring, kind of promoted it as a goodwill farewell tour that you're gonna see. And I think to have the wherewithal and just the thought process to even attempt to do this in your last year, give us not only a certain fan, not only certain parts of your fans, because we all know he could have just showed up when he showed up, pop in, pop out. But honestly, even this even is explaining away why he told us about a farewell tour and still hasn't really been there consistently. Because you can look at it like, oh, he is the corporate guy. He can show up when he wants to. Don has always been an every week type of guy. Even when he was feuding with, even when he would come in the last few years and do a feud here and there, he would always be there for a month or two, do his match, and then he would dip out and do some filming. I know he's filming or whatever now, but like all of that adds to what The Rock was pitching to Cody. Because if you remember, the Rock's pitch to Cody was he can get you those followers on Instagram. He can get you whatever you want. So think about what Cena has been doing, has been becoming. Even all the way back, James, you remember this? What was John Cena and The Rock's beef initially? So to speak, Cena would criticize The Rock for leaving and going Hollywood. And what did Cena do once his career started to wrap up? He became one of the biggest, if not, maybe not in the same ilk as The Rock quite yet, but he's an actor and he's getting more and more successful with more projects that he's doing himself in the same vein. So it's very, very cool how many ways you can tie this story together. And I think it's just really smart. And it's just kind of crazy to me that they even thought to do it. And also, this is one of those situations that has created, in my opinion, one of the first times a win-win situation. Because if Cena does make history and break Flair's record at 17, but he does it as a new version of this character, he does it as a heel, and does it as like the Rocks, or like whatever you want to call it, the corporate version of himself, and he wins 17. I don't know about you guys, but that is an exciting prospect. That is something that I wouldn't mind seeing, because that's just something that we've never seen to do. So it's not only is he possibly can break the record, he's gonna do it doing it in a role that we've never even seen him in his wrestling career. But also you have the element if Cody wins, and even if he doesn't win, like you mentioned, James, this just tells you right now that Cody, they finally feel like they got a guy that can replace Cena. As much as we love Roman, and Roman has been holding this company on his back in many ways, whether it was as the chief or even when he was a babyface, we all know that was forced. We all know they were still looking for that Cena type replacement. And for Cody to be, like we talked about, James, even when people were falling flat on his reign, the people were still behind him. And for them to, like you said, now look how they're only going to get even more behind him. And then not to mention, something like this attracts people who may have stopped watching wrestling.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who did not care about Cena's era or whatever because of stuff like him not turning heel and feeling it was predictable. But I saw a lot of people who do not follow wrestling talking about this moment because they knew what it meant to say John Cena's a bad guy now. And I think he broke like a world record for people who was babyface so long and then finally turned heel. Like, think about this. He broke a Guinness World Record in WWE for doing this, for finally turning. So I just think it was really, really cool, really creative, and we'll never forget. That's one of them things. It's crazy that this happened on Elimination Chamber. And like you said, we get to review it, but I don't think we'll ever forget where we were or what we were doing when we saw Cena do that and pull the trigger. So to me, they just created a win-win scenario in the main event because I'm kind of excited either way. Even if you let Cody win, like that means we got a new guy that's on top. But I think if you let John make history, you got a compelling story still to tell with the next 10 months of his career. So it's crazy, man.
Well, not only that as well, but you've got the Randy Orton stuff that's going to happen with Cody. It really, when Triple H spoke a couple of years ago about a bigger picture, you can really see like a 5 or 6 year plan, even if Cena fails. You know, and again, you've made that match more interesting as well because Cena versus Cody would have been good. And now you add this kind of new hillside with Rock behind him. You can still have Rock and Cody at WrestleMania down the road as well. So it's just, this was just, I think was excellent. So overall then for the show itself, match of the night for everybody, I think it'd be fair to say was Zayn versus Owens. But Jaxie, I mean, if you disagree, let me know. But who's your MVP and what's your rating out of 10?
I'm gonna give it's hard really to I've got to give John Cena the MVP. I think the heel turn at the end just really solidified it, and it was just such a moment. But yeah, I think overall, I'll probably go with KO and Sammy. Even though I put the women's elimination chamber as a 5 as well, I'll probably go KO and Sammy for match.
And what would you give it out of 10?
I'll give it a good 8.5. It was good.
Monty, what about you? MVP and rating, please.
I give the show a 9. I think it was really good. I mean, the only thing, like I said, it probably didn't belong was the tag, but even that was like, it wasn't horrible. It just kind of felt out of place. But yeah, MVP tough. Again, even though I feel like Cody comes out looking great too in this, Cena definitely has to get the MVP to me because I just feel like when you think about this show and when you think about the build of WrestleMania now, we're gonna think about that switch because again, I feel like he really could have just shook Cody's hand and they both give The Rock the finger and they beat up Travis Scott or something. Maybe I'm just hoping Travis Scott got beat up, but but yeah, they could have just went out and did the easy way out and we would have been fine with it and still got excited for this possible passing of the torch at WrestleMania. But now we get that and we get a new version of John Cena and just the possibilities the stories that they can tell going forward. I got to give them props, man. So I'm giving it to Cena for having the balls to do it because he definitely didn't have to. And 9 overall.
Gina, what about you?
Yeah, do you know what? I think I'm gonna go same. I'm gonna go Cena, and I'm gonna give it a 9.
I'm going to go 8 3/4, and I'm going to give it to Liv for taking that shot from Bianca Belair. We had the press conference afterwards with Joe Test, Big E, and Pete Rosenberg, and they were as shocked as everybody else after. It's great to see Pete Rosenberg speechless, you know. Bianca joined the panel. She's happy she's going to Mania. They remind her, you remember Jay beating the shit out of Naomi earlier? She was like, oh, yeah. She said Naomi told her Liv would do it. So, you know. Rosenberg then said Blair would face Io at Mania. Huh? Maybe he made a mistake. I don't know. John Cena came out for the press conference and just a mic drop and walked away. That was just so... I don't know. I just, like I said, I cannot wait to see what happens with John Cena. Triple H was there as well. And, of course, we all know what he said. The most successful kind of event of all time ever. You know, no one's ever bigger than this as well, which I thought was quite good. And then we had The Rock. And Monty, did you see any of this? Because The Rock did his press conference out of character, which I thought was a bit strange, but he did explain a little bit.
Yeah, he also, like you mentioned, he kind of explained. I think somebody straight up asked him, like, are you heel or like babyface, like when you do that? Because they just talking basically what you're talking about, Johnny. They're like, you know, you kind of go in and out, and he's like, the thing is, he's not really heelish or babyface, and he's the final boss. Like, and I got what he kind of meant by that, because yes, he can be heelish, but he also can be that. But like, think about your average boss. Like, a lot of, yes, we hate, like, you're gonna hate your boss, but there's also some people who you can play both sides of the fence when it comes to your boss too, in a way. But also, I kind of understand what he means, but he, like you said, it's kind of crazy how you can go from talking about how we plan this and plan that to talking about Waffle House. So yeah, he was he was definitely
strange.
every version of himself.
Yeah,
it's just like he's final boss a little bit, but he's still Dwayne. So it's just, it's very, very funny. But that's him, and I think that's basically how he explained it. He's not really playing a character here. He's kind of just being himself. So it's very funny, because I don't know if they're gonna pass that on to everybody. Is that just The Rock and The Rock?
Well, did you find it did you find it interesting? He kept mentioning about his heritage and stuff as well. It's like, yes, we know you're The Rock.
Get it.
Like,
yes, we know who you are.
What is it about? If someone said to him he's not dedicated to, and he keeps going, oh, you all know my mum, you know, hi cheap. It's like, yes, we do. We've seen Young Rock. We've read the autobiography.
We know.
We've seen the films. We know. And again, talking about being a long, gamer and all this stuff working together. It's just like, pat yourself on the back, guys. And I know you do. Right. And we can't have it both ways, Monty, can we? We can't have a good product and them not being like, look how good our product is.
Look how good this is. Right. Yeah. They gotta pat themselves back. Also, it's just too, it's like, it's funny too, because you hear him talking about all that long game stuff, and like, yeah, we did have this in the works. And you look, a lot of people said nothing. Basically, he said nothing he does is for nothing, trying to basically talk about the bad blood moment. But then you hear people say that he pitched Cody turned heel, and so would that symbol even mean anything if Cody said yes? Like you see what I'm saying? It's like The Rock doing what he did for the WrestleMania thing when he told them, you know what, I want to give the fans what they want.
But he's ever such a politician as well with the press conferences where, oh, Sam, what's your name, Sam? And then kind of direct response. It is protecting the brand. And again, I understand that, man. Rock's got the fucking brand that he needs to do. There's no doubt. Triple H also quite interesting. I mean, Jaxie, I don't know what you think about these comments, but Triple H said that a women's title match could headline a WrestleMania. It's all over the place now. Not even Cody's match is guaranteed a main event. He treats them all the same. And again, it just smelt a bit,
Smelt a bit. What do you mean by that?
He was just full of shit. He knows the main events, and he's just going, oh no, the women's matches is equally important. Well, no, it's not.
Well, he says that, but like whether or not that's actually executed, I don't know, because they've not done that since, they gave Ronda Rousey that sort of opening, along with Charlotte and Becky. And right now with how Hunter's handled the women's division, I'm not holding any promises. I'm not going to have any high hopes for that. I'll believe it when he announces it. I'll believe it when I see it, Yeah.
And Gina, we just mentioned The Rock. I mean, he is more of a brand now than anything else. I mean, but is that a bad thing? Do you know what I mean? I mean, does it make you like him less? That we, do you know what I mean? It's a weird situation to have him here, but be like, I'm not sure.
No, I mean, for me at this moment in time, I feel like The Rock kind of can't do no wrong, and that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying whether he's face or whether he's heel, whether he's being booed or cheered for, I think regardless, the crowd is still always going to want to see The Rock on their TV, in their stadium, in their like in front of them, so whether he's heel or face, I think it still doesn't matter. He's still going to be wanted regardless, and he'll still be accepted.
Yeah, without that. And the last thing from the press conference, I don't want to talk too long on this, but Monty, again, Triple H was saying, talk about how NFL is the biggest thing and can't be touched, which did surprise me, really, because obviously I know in America how big it is and how many people watch the Super Bowl. But again, you think maybe worldwide. And speaking of worldwide, I guess the second is the Premier League. But when you think that's where Triple H is comparing himself, just shows how big WWE are right now.
Yeah, it's one of those little subtle flexes. You're giving a shout out, but like you just mentioned, you're kind of giving insight into who you are comparing yourself to, at least when it comes to entertainment. And he's definitely, especially in America, he's 100% right. Ain't nothing. I don't think there's nothing he can do to keep up with the branding and the money, that everything that the NFL is all about and what they garner, the attention they garner on a yearly basis. But it's very funny you say that, because when the old man was running that play, he would do little things to try to compete with Monday Night Football and whatever. So it was always one of those things that was kind of like what they said, but Vince would never admit that they can't touch it, because he always in his mind thought that WWE was just as big if you let him tell it. So it's very funny to get that perspective from Triple H. But yeah, man, it's one of those subtle things, because I think I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Triple H is chronically online. And he knows that WWE is constantly compared to their wrestling competitors. So if he say stuff like, yeah, we're looking at NFL numbers, that show you that, no, they don't even pay attention to people like AEW, even though we know they do.
So we got Raw and SmackDown after Extreme Rules. I'm sure nothing big will happen. CM Punk started the show. He was pissed. He's still annoyed with The Rock after all these years. But I do love Punk, because no matter what you say, when he goes like, goosebumps, I've got goosebumps, you're like, oh, fucking Punk, you're brilliant. Calling John Cena bald as well. Seth Rollins arrived. The fighting ensued. Jaxie, somebody compared Seth and Punk to Peter Griffin and the Chicken, and I can't stop seeing that now.
Oh my god. That's a pretty good comparison, to be honest. I've not thought about it, but now I can. Yeah, no, I see it.
But it was a hot start to Raw, though.
Yeah, it really was. It was a great way to start it, and I believed how pissed CM Punk was. This made me kind of excited as to what we do have in store for him at WrestleMania. Like he'll get his moment, I'm sure, but at the moment he's just been quite hot, with all of the feuds he's been part of. So I expect no less to come from this.
Now we saw Gunther facing Otis. Monty, this has actually helped the Alpha Academy, and we've mentioned Otis' connection with the crowd, but Gunther bringing out the best in him, and again they're using both of these men right.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing when you think about it. It's cool to see a world champion too, just on the show wrestling. I always like that. I think Gunther tells Triple H yo, hey, let me go have a match. I don't care what we do. I don't care who it is. I go out there, let's go have a good match. Don't have me just sitting on the sidelines until I fight Jay, and then they still can build the story with Jay after the match. So yeah, man, I thought it was cool. And then you're 100% right. Otis is one of those people who I feel like, especially if they just keep depicting him in his strong suits, he will always be over with the crowd. I mean, he's that charismatic, and he's so good at what he does. They don't ask him to get out of his comfort zone, and he's a really good TV match wrestler, in my opinion. And like you mentioned, this stuff with Tozawa and Otis really did a good job of not really just legitimizing, but I mean, if you ask me, it legitimizes Otis, because he just went 10 minutes with the world champ, And it wasn't like he was just getting killed for 10 minutes, So Gunther kind of had to survive there at the end. So it was cool. It was really a really cool perspective to view Otis in. And but again, like we mentioned kind of before, Otis, as far as his connection with the crowd, Otis is up there with with some of the most popular, if you ask me, with guys who, whenever he's out there doing something, even if it's 5 minutes, he's gonna get a reaction.
Yeah, without a doubt. We saw Lyra retaining against Ivy Nile. American Made lost to War Raiders. Judas with a shooting star. Like, what the fucking hell? Anyway, I bet Gable starts wearing a mask. I mean, what's in the box, Gina? What's in the box? It's got to be a mask, isn't it? And I tell you what, American Made were pretty impressive on Raw, even though they lost.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually funny because I actually said to Jax maybe they should win here because they will get a good boosting from this. And even though they lost, I still think that they looked good. So it's definitely working in their favor.
Now, main event, Io Sky shockingly won the women's title, beating Rhea Ripley. Some arseholes are saying she McIntyred herself, but I'm not going to hear it. Io will head to Mania as champion for the second year in a row. Jaxie, another thing, another day with WWE, another thing I didn't see coming.
Yeah, I just kind of don't get it. Like, the thing is, I'm a huge fan of Io, and I am not mad at her winning this title. But I don't get why now. Like, I felt like Rhea versus Bianca at WrestleMania felt like a bigger draw. But we'll talk about why that answer once we get to SmackDown, I suppose. Because I think that SmackDown then kind of paints a different picture going into Mania than what a lot of people probably expected or presumed. So this is definitely a curveball that's been thrown,
Yeah, about that. I mean, Io deserves it. There's no doubt we spoke.
Yeah,
I mean, Io's
yeah,
so
for
cool.
sure. For sure.
There's
I'm
no
never
doubt
going to be
there's moment.
disappointed she's a champion. But I can't deny the shock that came from this title switch up so close to Mania. I wasn't expecting that, But we'll definitely see.
We'll move on to SmackDown, and Drew rightfully beat up Damian Priest. Orton had a few words for Cena and Rock, and then moved on to Kevin Owens, apparently. Randy did ramble on. Then Stratton beat Niven. Charlotte attacked Tiffy afterwards. Pretty Deadly are number one contenders. Yes, boy! They beat Motor City Machine Guns and Los Garzas. But how can they be number one contenders when the Street Profits are number one contenders for the tag titles next week? You can't have two number one contenders. Maybe that's just me being silly. I don't know. And then Bianca Belair came to the ring to address winning the chamber, but also talk about Jade Cargill attacking Naomi. She asked Naomi point blank if she attacked Jade, but Naomi kept trying to deflect. This led to Naomi dramatically revealing she indeed attacked Cargill, but much like Rikishi, she did it for The Rock. Naomi said she did it for Bianca and ranted and cried as the EST walked away from her. Cargill arrived at the arena, and unlike Bianca trying to get out the pod at the chamber, she let Cargill just walk on right by and beat down Naomi. Gina, I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Because Naomi was excellent in this as well with the emotion.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? I was in two minds at first about this. First of all, I kind of more expected it to turn out to be Bianca. So like I was saying earlier, when reviewing the attack that Jade did on Naomi, I felt like the story coming out of this actually may have been that Bianca was the one to attack Jade. And she just hurt Naomi because she couldn't get to Bianca at the time. But this actually shows that it was Naomi. And at first I kind of thought it would have made more sense to turn Bianca heel here because that would have been more of the shock factor, I think. But the more that I think about the emotion that was put behind it, the truths that Naomi was spitting, some of the facts, and don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing on Jade at all, but I am just saying like there were some home truths that Naomi spitted out there to Bianca. So when you think about the situation more and more from where Naomi's coming from, the more invested you are, like, shit, Naomi kind of was not justified in attacking her like that, but she still had her reasons, and she stands by them. And I think it's elevated Naomi a little bit more and just reminded everybody that Naomi's not just someone else's tag partner. She's not someone else's Robin. She's like her own character too. And she's also suffered and had to carry the division without getting any recognition as well. You know, so I could understand where she was coming from. And like you said, the emotion did help to make it hit deep for sure. So fair play to all three of these women.
Oh, I know how it feels. I mean, you have to deal with Jaxie. But Jaxie, I know you wanted to talk about this situation. Take it away.
No, I'm just because if I was so convinced about it being sort of maybe Bianca that had taken out Jade, this was what I also meant by like throwing such a huge curveball going into WrestleMania. So I wonder whether or not it's going to be sort of one of those gradual things where Bianca finally realizes, like, you know, what Naomi was saying was true. You know, sort of going into Mania, will pick up the belt from Io, sadly, like a short title reign from Io, but like leading to then like a bigger feud with Jade, like going further on, maybe into SummerSlam or something. So I see this as like, you know, a way to sort of potentially have like you know, all three women at WrestleMania, because I can now like sort of picture or imagine potentially like them building up a Naomi Jade match for WrestleMania. But it just creates a bigger picture, a bigger dynamic into sort of like the breakdown of all three of them, and it's still left into question as to whether or not Bianca's really kind of going to lean towards Team Jade or Team Naomi. So it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks to see where her mind's at and which way she's going to go, especially when you actually, you know, think further into what the Street Profits are doing right now, and they're acting very heelish. So I wonder if, you know, Bianca may go down that same route. So I think, you know, like the end of Elimination Chamber and like sort of like the Raw and Smackdowns after have really created like a lot of like intense like questions and heat within like certain stories at the moment, and it's just left you really intrigued as to what matches are gonna make the WrestleMania match card from this. So I'm quite excited, like coming off the back of Elimination Chamber, with what they've managed to do with it and the stories they've managed to create. I'm excited to see where we're going to get to by the time it hits WrestleMania.
Yeah, and let's not forget, you know, the Rikishi might have done it for Rock back in the day, but it was Triple H calling the shots in the end. So it wouldn't be surprising if Naomi maybe did it on behalf of Bianca, or maybe even somewhere else. Like we said, on the road to WrestleMania, we will find out a little bit more. We got Braun and Fatu brawling, ending with Jacob being put through a table. Chelsea Green dressed as Cactus Jack to face Michin in a street fight. Alba Fire helped
my God, that
Chelsea.
was brilliant. That was brilliant. Chelsea, she's just excelling in everything right now, and watching her come out as Cactus Jack was just like the best thing ever. She had like a gum shield in at one point that had like, you know, like the front of it, like, I don't know, colored out in black Sharpie from like sort of his loss of teeth and stuff. It was just brilliant, like 10 out of 10 for like what she does with like her outfits and stuff. And yeah, as you said, I did not see the ending of this match coming either. This was a nice, pleasant surprise, I'd say.
Yeah, without a doubt. Cody surprisingly wants to Rock. Drew easily beat Jey Uso. And the thing, Monty, that did my fucking nutting with this is why did we have McIntyre? Sorry, Jimmy Uso. He will beat Jey Uso in the future.
Right, James.
Yeah, get it right. Get it right, mate. How long have you been doing this? Thank you for correcting me. Anyway, the thing that I'm annoyed with is being corrected. No, it's not. It is why brawl between Priest and McIntyre when we had the brawl between Fatu and Braun, which was much better, Monty. Like, it's just lazy, it felt.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. At this point, I think Triple H has two guys that he thinks highly of, but it's like I mentioned in the past around WrestleMania season. You could tell some storylines don't get the effort because I mean, let's just be real. This is my theory, and that's why I'm glad you came with me on this Drew angle. And this is what I would like. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but I don't know if you guys remember, but Roman Reigns is gone currently because of the Seth Rollins Punk. So we're presuming, and we probably are. Don't get me wrong, probably going to get it because it's a bigger match for Roman would be a triple threat. But between that brawl between Seth and Punk, and then the reason that Drew just seemed to be floating, when we all know, even if he don't like Priest right now, we know who his beef is with. His beef is with Roman. Everybody knows that. And I'm just like, why don't we just pivot and go with Drew and Roman, and then you let Seth and CM Punk handle their business one on one instead of throwing Roman in their feud? Like, could that be Punk's favor that he asked Roman to leave Seth for him, and you just go on, and then after that Drew attacks him or something? You know what I mean? Like that to me, that's just a better overall thing. Now again, I get it. You don't want to leave Priest with nothing because Priest has worked hard. He deserves a WrestleMania match too. I get that, and this kind of ties into what happened last year. Priest was the one who cashed in Money in the Bank. They have history, but they're not doing that, James. Like you mentioned, they just wanted he attacked him before the show. Priest attacked him later. Like no, tell a story. Like actually have Drew think about, because of not only do it happen at the Chamber, think about how he took your championship. Think about this. Like give us a reason to care. In my opinion. So I'm with you. They definitely could do a lot better. But it's the same thing I was saying about Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton. That feud, that's not even a feud at this point. They're just rehashing Charlotte standing on top of her every week. And how much you want to bet probably next week, since Charlotte is wrestling, that Tiffany might just be standing on top of her that night. You know what I mean? Like we know you can already see where it's going. There's nothing to really to latch on to in some of these other feuds. And that's what we need to at least try to put more effort into, because right now when you talk about Bianca, when you talk about what Cody, and you talk about some of the other things that we know on even Jey Uso, you talk about that stuff that we know is coming at Mania. I'm a lot more excited for that, and a lot of that has to do with them not being lazy with the story.
Yeah, and I think Raw has been a lot better than SmackDown recently as well, and I think it shows it. Of course, we know on Raw coming up is going to be Punk versus Rollins in a steel cage, so we might see Roman Reigns return on Raw. And
why did Shinsuke win the title?
Well, this is what I was going to say. But anyway,
Triple H.
Main event time, right? LA Knight beat Nakamura to become the US champion. Gina, was anything achieved since Survivor Series? Much like Monty just asked, I'm asking in a different way. What was the point?
No, again, this is something I said to Jax as soon as the match was announced on SmackDown. Right, so with this match, there's one of two outcomes. Either LA Knight loses to Shinsuke again, in which it's kind of like burying him, really, or he's going to win the belt back from Shinsuke, kind of cancelling out everything Shinsuke's done since winning the belt from him in the first place. This makes no sense. They should have ended the feud between Shinsuke and LA Knight. LA Knight has a lot of popularity right now. I don't think he highly needs that belt back to remain popular or remain in a storyline. He could have gone off and done something else, put Shinsuke in another feud with someone else, make him come out on top, then maybe make him lose it to somebody else in the next feud, and then put LA Knight back in that picture if you want him with that belt again. But if so, there was no point in taking that belt from him in the first place and letting Shinsuke hold it, because no offense, I love Shinsuke. Every time I see a promo of him, I love him, but I think I'm biased that in really liking Shinsuke. For the rest of the people out there, I don't think they've really given a shit about his run, because he's not really done anything. And I don't really give a shit about his run. I just personally like him, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about this match. Don't get me wrong, I don't dislike LA Knight. I think he's wicked. I think he's well over with the crowd right now. He knows what he's doing to keep them all hype and get them all woken up. He gets them re-energized when he comes out, you know? So I've got no issues with LA Knight. I just don't think this whole feud with Shinsuke was relevant, to be honest. I don't think it's elevated LA Knight in any way possible to say, oh, he finally beat Shinsuke, when we've just seen those two non-stop go after this belt since Survivor Series. So it's just been a back and forth series with them. For me, it was just a bit pointless, and it's not really done anything for either of them.
No, and that's the interesting thing. I think that's what you're saying. And Jaxie, I think you can agree. This was Nakamura's second title defense. His first one was against LA Knight with no contest. So you kind of just wondering what's the point. And again, you're thinking, well, maybe this would be a WrestleMania match, but they've done it now. So you're thinking, well, what's going to happen at WrestleMania for US title? Or are they bumping it off for Priest McIntyre or Naomi?
It's going to be on SmackDown, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
It won't even be future. I don't really have much more to say, because I think that my sister really just kind of pointed out all flaws of like sort of this whole run with the US belt so far. It's felt incredibly pointless. And when you look at what like Bron Breakker has been doing with the Intercontinental belt and things like that, it's just like, it's a little bit poor that they've put this on Nakamura and yet only given him 2 title defenses before taking it off of him. Again, kind of making it feel like a transitional champion waiting for the right moment for them to win it back. And for what reason? You didn't even have him win it back on a big pay-per-view. Like, you just had an Elimination Chamber match. If you were going to do a match like this and have LA Knight win it, why didn't you put this on the match card? Elimination Chamber. Why is it just randomly on a fucking Friday night SmackDown? Like, that's not going to make this win feel any bigger. And if anything, it just kind of feels like the win has come out of nowhere, when it's only been recently that Shinsuke's held the belt and not done much with it yet. Like, what can you say he achieved during that run? Exactly.
Nothing.
It's sad to say, really, because you know that, like, had Shinsuke had better opponents throughout, like, you know, his tenure as champion, you know, like he would have had
just
great
have
matches.
a match.
Exactly.
He can't even get on TV. That's my point. Like,
exactly.
Like, at least put him on TV.
He's been on TV. He's been on TV, Monty. He's been
I
looking
forgot.
everywhere.
He shows up when LA Knight fights or something. Yeah, that's a good point.
Just always in the background, scoping out people. But guess what? Never facing anyone else but LA Knight. It was just all about LA Knight.
And like, only for 3 minutes.
It wasn't even Shinsuke's like run, really. Like, his championship was all about like LA Knight. So it just feels a little bit pointless.
All right. So before we wrap up, finally, I think we've covered pretty much anything. Gina, to come to you then, and you wrap up what you thought of WWE this month as we head to WrestleMania. That will be our next show.
It's been up and down, really. One thing that I did notice, especially going into the chamber, is that there is great black representation for the female side, but not really enough for the male side to be in the main picture title scene. If you want to include Jey Uso, you know, but that's about it. So I'm interested in the storylines going into WrestleMania, but do I think that I could have created 3 other storylines that would have smashed WrestleMania so far with other people who are not involved at the moment? Yes, they could have done a bit better, but I'll take what I can get. Some of the storylines we got are interesting, so I'm intrigued to see what we'll get over the next few weeks.
Perfect. So that is it. I don't think there's anything else. So don't forget, we're across all social media. X at the Double R Podcast. I'm at the Double R Pod James. You can find the entire Double R team on the banner. Now on Blue Sky, Double R Podcast, and Reddit. Jackson, where can people find and follow you?
I'm on Instagram, Twitch, and X at Jaxie Scarlett.
Excellent. And Monty?
At my Monty Pod.
Perfect. And finally, Gina?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Twitter and X at Purple Pain.
You're also on Facebook and Instagram. Like I said, we're doing loads on YouTube at this moment in time as well. So check that out. We've got dream matchups and everything else going on. And send us an email at doublepodcast@gmail.com. And podcasts go up on YouTube same time. We're doing on SoundCloud on your phone. Also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode is AEW Revolution. Jaxie, You're probably the biggest AEW fan I know. Are you ready for this?
Am I? Am I the biggest AEW fan?
Well, apart from maybe Gina.
I don't know. I think we got Collision tonight, so I'm gonna say we'll wait to see on this one, because I'm pretty sure we're gonna get some last minute added matches by TK announced for Revolution. So we'll see what it's like going into. There's much anticipation. That's that much I'll say.
Well, until then, I've been James Rowlands, and always joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Jaxie, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoy Collision.
Yeah, well, it'll be an interesting one for sure. I'm just still, reaping the win from Elimination Chamber. So see you again soon for Revolution, guys.
Yep, you got the win and the perfect score, and so did the mind of Monty. I thought you were going to give up this year, Monty.
I told you I will after I beat you at Mania. To do that, I gotta watch everything before that. So if I lose at Mania, I'm definitely giving up. But if I win, I'm definitely also giving up. So yeah.
And of course,
there you go.
The genius of Gina. Thank you very much for joining me, Gina. And I honestly mean this. I'd rather have you win than Jaxie and Monty. All right. So just remember that as we go to WrestleMania.
That means a lot, James. That really means a lot. No, thank you. It's been a fun pod for sure. I've enjoyed this one.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.